to it. So, I said earlier about the one like for your father, and you describe your father as savvy, right?
Hmm.
And your mother, a biblical name. Was it Esther? Or no,
Ah,
oh, different name. That was a different
there
poem,
it's
man.
Ruth. Ruth, that's a
Ruth.
different poem.
Yes.
Esther, yes, Ruth is my mom's name. Hmm. And the biblical name is for her.
But you make the point, again with the child's eye, with the child's viewpoint, just about doing things together and all the things that you notice about your dad when you're a kid, you notice about your mom when you're a kid. Um, you One of the poems is, as we kind of end part one, is about you basically saying I should get a pass for bravery with the ugliness of like your hair being touched.
Right.
But then that's followed up by the poem about your mom. It's like her exquisite styling and taking time with it. Did you feel like those were two sides of the same coin, like, or like you needed one to counteract the ugliness?
I think for me, I didn't feel, I felt the beauty of my mom, and the expression that she had when
Mm,
she was doing my hair, and I didn't think anything of it. I'm just getting dressed, getting my hair done, getting my clothes on. But then I would go to an area, and this happened to be for Girl Scouts.
mm,
I was the only person that looked like me in Girl Scouts. And
mm.
and so when we went on a camping trip or another trip, for some reason, the people had never seen anyone black. And
Wow.
they all came around, and they all came. It was it was really like, I don't want to say, I don't even want to go back to the author that we were talking about before about the terror, but I feel
Mm,
like, at that moment there were so many people coming up to me, and they were verbally saying, wow, like, we've never seen one of these people in person, never seen one of them in person, we've only seen them on TV. And
mm.
I said, I remember thinking, what, you've never seen what, who? And they said, a black
Ah,
person. We've never seen a black person, can we touch your hair? And so there were a lot of girls, and they earnestly just had seen someone that looked like me on TV, and
mm,
they just wanted to come as a group. This was a whole group and wanted to come and
mm.
feel my hair, and I was overwhelmed.
I bet.
I didn't even understand
Mm,
first of them saying that they'd never seen a black person before, because I
mm,
definitely had seen black people in my own home, and
mm,
there were others at school. So it was just something really, really different, and something that began to make my mind think about who I was.
mm,
Why was I being treated differently or seen differently? And for someone to have that much interest, it was like I was someone or something in a cage, where
mm,
people were surrounding me and just putting their hands all over my head, until our Girl Scout troop leader, said, that was enough. She kind of pulled us away because it
mm.
just got overwhelming. And
Wow.
we were trying to answer questions, and it just wasn't enough at that time. And I was in elementary school, like about 8 years old.
Mm,
So that was a bit overwhelming
mm,
for me. And I won't forget that, but I also won't forget, that attached with the outside feeling a certain way, there was a love and an entanglement, as we say, with being
mm,
able to do my hair, because, as you see in the mirror test, no one could do it right
mm.
but my mom. My aunt couldn't comb it right. My uncle had it like all over my head like Pippi Longstockings. He hates that I say that. He has to know that I say that in love. And my dad, I don't think he ever attempted to comb my hair. Um, and my mom was the only one that could do it perfectly.
Mm,
So to me, when everyone wanted to touch my hair, I didn't understand, because I thought my hair had been done perfectly by my mom.
mm. Well, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean the power of the poem, the power of the collection is that there's there's the I keep using the word visceral, but there's the visceral from when you're a kid, what you're feeling, what's happening, and then you're able to write about it, with the years of experience, like looking back, as an adult, and make it more of like a wider view, right?
Right.
And like what that really meant. And you're not
Yes.
didactic in that, you're not telling us exactly, but it's very clear from how it's written about how that was so ugly. And as much as we can, we achieve empathy. It's not 100% possible, of course, but
Right.
yeah.
But yes, those two were put together,
Hmm.
to show different sides
Right.
of the existence.
Right. As part one ends up, I mean, as part one ends, and just throughout the whole book, I mean, you advance in age, obviously, and there's more of again, a wider view of the world, and later talking about Timothy Cole and Freedom Tree, and like history and history's miseries and ugliness. But
Mhm.
you end part one with, I guess you really, really did see the KKK in the flesh.
Yes. My mom and I were passing through. We live in a small town,
Mm,
and we were passing through that small town. And at the convention center, the NAACP, um, they were having just a convention, and the KKK were standing on this side of the car when
mm,
we stopped at the stoplight. And everything that I have ever been taught or heard or read about the KKK was danger, death, you know, definitely not safety.
mm,
And I didn't know, I sat in my seat and didn't know what to do because I wanted to lock the door, but I didn't want them to open the door. And I'm
mm,
telling my mom, I'm screaming at her to lock the door. And she's basically looking straight ahead, not paying attention to, this group of KKK members that are standing with signs in their hand saying,
mm,
"Blacks, go home,"
mm,
KKK. And as I'm sitting there trying to catch my breath and just the fear of not knowing what's about to happen, because it was also in the evening time,
mm.
which in the evening anything can happen,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people don't, I had a cousin that was taken away by men,
Mm,
and nothing was done about it. And that was another area in Texas. And my great grandfather was taken away by men and never came back, and there was
mm,
nothing done about it. So I was having a panic, and my mother was fine.
mm.
I mean, she appeared fine.
Sure.
And the poem is called Echoes in My Spirit because her her spirit and the way that she handled that, it was like an echo that gave me strength and showed me her strength. And I, realized and was told later, she had marched with Martin Luther King Jr. She had been, at, all of these events, and known of things that had happened in the 50s and the 60s, that were worse than what I, had
Mm.
heard of during the time. And they tried to keep things very innocent in our household. They
Sure,
didn't really want to
sure.
talk about, things that were happening. I knew about Martin Luther King Jr. and him being assassinated. We had a poster up on the wall. I knew about people like the KKK because they were on TV and you could read about them in books. But to be standing right there next to someone who said that they hated you and that they were known for killing people like you, it was very overwhelming. And my mom was just, she was just, she was just straight ahead,
Mm,
looking straight ahead. I think at the very end, I said, today was not a day for them to win. It
right.
was a time for the ones that hid behind the white gowns and hats to stand with their signs and be the ones in hiding.
Mm,
As we drove past them in our car and went on with our night, I saw my mother match eyes with the last of the hoods. And we just drove by because she and, my grandmother and my, great grandmother and grandparents, and they had been through so much and they stood up for more fighting than we would ever,
mm,
know to try and stand up to try and change things.
right.
And she just had a completely different spirit about her
Mm,
that was calm that day. and it wasn't filled with fear. So it taught me that there is a perimeter of difference and hatred and danger that's there, but we still have to keep pushing through to live.
Mm,
Still have to keep pushing forward. And even though that danger was right next to me, everything was okay.
mm.
Everything was okay. But what if I just gotten out of the car and because I was so panicked.
Yeah.
But she taught me a really great lesson that day, and that's another one where you said that there's dedication on some of the poems.
Mm-hmm.
That one I dedicate it to her and the strength of women.
Well, yeah, I mean, what a tribute to your mom, and to say all the strong women. The part two really gets into like, the peacock example, one of the first poems, the spreading the wings and such, and quote, "You're peering at a glow of heaven" was one of the lines that really stood out to me. All the visits and meals with mama, and one of the lines is, "My maestras and matriarchs have filled our bellies with food and infused us all with love."
Mhm.
Right, the times and the Soul Train revelry, waiting for that show to come on, doing the moves,
Yes,
cousins and
love
family.
the soul. Yes.
Yeah, and the grandpa's the caretaker and the protector.
Mhm.
But yeah, just all the, like, the family history you talked about, and the family garden had a name, and Big Mama, and all the great food and all of that. So if you were given someone said, "All right, here's $500 to do your best Soul Train move," what are you doing?
Oh my goodness. My best Soul Train move. Oh, I have to give you the robot moves. Robot
Oh, you
up
can't go wrong with that
yours.
one, right?
Nope.
Okay, okay. Was it Soul Train on a Sunday or Soul Train on a Saturday?
It's interesting because Soul Train was on Saturday, but
Okay.
it was Soul Train Sunday for us because everything, it was the end of the week. It was
Hmm.
when we had to clean and prepare for Sunday. So it
Okay.
was everything was combined with Sunday and Soul Train. It was all together for us.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like Soul Train Sunday because all we had was playing outside in the dirt. We didn't have
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we at my grandmother's there just wasn't anything. You either went to do things in the garden or you went to help her hang clothes,
Hmm.
when she pinned the clothes up outside, or you would look forward to Soul Train. And
Right.
after that, it was Sunday time. Everything
Mhm.
just switched. Like after Soul Train, it was Sunday time. We got our
Mhm.
clothes ready for church. We had to have the meal prepared and set aside. Dessert would be, baking so that it would be ready
Mm.
for the next day, unless it was bread pudding. Bread
Okay.
pudding was made the morning of.
Oh.
So yes, yes. Soul Train Sunday.
In into it's clear. I mean, you have the great images of grandpa as a caretaker, protector, like I said, that family garden, and just like, meeting places, and matriarchs and patriarchs, and
Mm,
again, back to that line about infusing us all with love. It's,
yes.
whether it's food or just all those great times together.
Mhm.
Part three is, it gets more historical, with talking about the Freedom Tree poem and Timothy Cole, who, you quote him, I guess, verbatim. I mean, this is you talk about a powerful line. He
Mm,
said, quote, "I still believed in justice," possibly with a capital J, like that, like the balance beam of justice, or what's the term? You know what I mean?
right,
All right. "I
right.
still believed in justice, though it didn't believe in me."
Mhm.
I won't mess it up by saying anything other than just letting that sit there in the air.
And isn't that, heart-wrenching?
That's heart wrenching.
He was
Exactly.
an honor student and, future law student,
Mhm.
and he was guilty of this crime. He knew that he didn't do it. But there was nothing he could do about it.
Mm.
And when he was, when they found that, maybe he didn't do it, and maybe he was innocent, or they found that
Hmm.
he was innocent.
Right.
It was too late.
Mm.
It was too late at that time. He had an asthma attack, and he passed away in prison. So
Oh man.
there's a bronze statue of him at
Right.
Texas Tech University.
Okay. Oh
Hmm.
my gosh.
It's a beautiful statue as a tribute to him, and it's right outside of the building, the law where building where they study laws, to help them remember
Right.
every time you have a client, every time someone is accused of something,
Hmm.
to just remember people like Tim Cole, and others that are like him, that we have every day, of someone being accused of something, and um, someone being put to death, and then you find out later that
Mm.
they were innocent. So
Oof.
innocent Tim Cole. At first, they gave his family 80,000 a year. The state decided to begin to pay if they found the person innocent after they were
Uh,
proven,
uh,
after they were guilty. And now the families were paid 160,000
wow.
if they're found innocent after they've said that they're guilty. So
Like a dollar amount for a person, huh?
it's
Mm.
it's terrible. It's terrible. And this was for Tim Cole, and others who are wrongly accused of a crime.
Right. The I mean, heart-wrenching in a different way, more personal, is White Lies Part One. You
Mhm.
reference a quote sledgehammer pace unquote for grandma, right? Losing her memory, losing, in a dementia, Alzheimer's type of way. And really a
Yes.
regression to baby, right? To childhood, where the teacher,
Mhm.
who formerly your teacher, becomes the student, the role, the authority figure, the adult becomes the child. And I don't know if twist is the right word, but it just really, just the fact that the white lies refers to the grandma covering up was so
Right.
powerful to me. I don't know what I was
Mhm.
expecting, but I wasn't expecting that.
Mhm.
Just like that the lies, I guess because of the fact that you don't think that unfortunately she had too much agency in that. But this is idea that, trying to keep up appearances, if you will, or but just covering up that she didn't know who you were and all that. And I feel for you. I mean, I remember when my grandpa, may he rest in peace, when he had a short time where we thought it was going to be dementia or Alzheimer's, and forgetting things, and it's just, they call it the long goodbye, right, for a reason.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really, really, and we've had a couple of other family members that have suffered from Alzheimer's as well.
Hmm.
And it's, it's terrible to see and know of the just the vibrance and just the love and everything,
Hmm.
and the person. It's like they're still there, but they're not.
Yeah.
And for her, and the title White Lies, she would just tell. It's like she wasn't really trying to tell a lie
Mm.
when she'd say
Right.
she knew who you were, but they were just little white lies. And
Yeah.
there were things that she would do, that we should have known. She
Mm.
started writing notes on things. So she'd write notes, like, "Don't put the trash in here." We thought she was just trying to remind herself.
Uh-huh.
Don't put the trash in here, push the button to stop. Light goes up. Different things that she was trying to remember,
Mm.
and we didn't know, that that was what was going on.
Oh wow.
Mm.
The I mean, some of the poems towards the end, because I mean, are all throughout the collection, are they're dark and almost like an absurdist kind of humor, even though, like, I mean, one is kind of about, like, when I die, here are
Mhm.
instructions about how to handle the body. And I was really struck
Yes.
by the idea of, like, what you learned in the house about, everything, some of those aphorisms that are escaping me right now, but just like, that the house always looked nice and presentable, and you always looked nice and
Yes.
presentable. And so, I don't know if humor is the word, but it's obviously something very serious, but it's just kind of like a little kind of wink, I guess, at the reader with those. And it reminds me of this idea of like of grandma trying to like keep up appearances.
Mm-hmm. Dignified death.
Right,
Yes.
right,
I must have a dignified death.
right. Did you
I cannot leave here without it.
I mean, I don't know how to, I mean, was that written sober? I mean, you know what I mean? Was that
It's funny because my brother would say that I'm just morbid.
yeah, Stephen
So,
King.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, you're morbid, sis. I'm like, but we're going to die. And
Yes.
I want this is how I want it to be.
Hmm.
Why not know how you want it to be?
Right,
Why not
right,
why
right.
not say it? It's not a secret.
Hmm.
It's like people don't want to talk about it. And I know it's hard.
Yes.
I know it's a very difficult subject, but
Mm.
I guess I've often, thought about um, I've just often thought about, how, would someone find you? Remember, I said I have all these journals. I haven't
Hmm.
thought about what to do with them. Should I hide them? Should I have someone burn them? All these
Hmm.
different things
Yes.
that I think about, and maybe I am a little bit morbid, but I think it's the reality
Hmm.
of life. So I just know. Like my mother said, she said, make sure you have on clean underwear
Yeah.
at all times.
Right.
Make sure the house is clean.
Mm.
Just all these things that go through my head.
Sure.
So
Well, there's a great duality. I mean, in that poem. I mean, in that poem and all the poems, the malapropism from the Sopranos show was the sacred and the profane, but we'll say the sacred and the profane, right? In this collection for sure, there's such a duality. I mean, there's yeah, like the details in that poem could be they're laugh out loud funny. Some of them about don't let my toenails cut through and that, but it's also obviously something very serious. So
right, right.
we'd love to maybe kind of time towards the end of our talk here whether it's those first two poems or anything you'd like to read,
Mm,
we'd be honored.
okay. Now you have me wondering if I should read the red lips.
Oh, so here it is. Here is Southern Spice, the Brown Girl's Tale. Whatever you like.
Okay. Red lips. I wonder what I'll look like when I'm dead. Will my face be painted red? Will they look at me and say, she was a beauty in her day? Then shout for joy for my travel to the saints? Or cry with fervor for the loss of my spirit? Will they follow all my orders and set things up as I desired? What will I look like when I'm dead? Will I be thin or swole? In the casket, will I smell? Will I wear a wig or will I do my hair? Or will they do it just right? And will I sleep deeply or hear their wails and comments as I float into the sky? Does it matter what I look like to them or me? Death is final. No do-overs for that time. It's just the end where we say goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you. For those reading along at home, it's page 112, and maybe five people will get my joke, but 112 where the players dwell from the song from the group. And but yeah, that's 112. So that one comes right after. No, that's Red Lip. Excuse me.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes, comes right after dignified death.
right, exactly. Well, yeah, thank you for reading that. I think like with what we're talking about, I think it was a perfect timing for that. Future projects. Sounds like you can't. What am I trying to say? You can not work on things. Like you're always working on something. Juggling this project, that project. So what? All that. Give us the contact info.
You sound like my friends, and you sound like my
Oh,
friends right now. That's hilarious.
it's a good thing, right?
Yes, um, what's coming up, there's going to be a reading of 1619, and also original pieces at Greenlight Books
Oh, nice.
on September the 1st. So you can watch that live. And what am I working on next? I am working on another book. So
All
I'm working,
right.
yes, I'm working on another book, and also breaking down a story from Southern Spice to be brought to life.
Mm. When when you're talking about the 1619 project, is that a live, like in person performance?
It's going to be virtual.
Okay.
So it's going to be writers and authors from different parts of the country.
Nice.
And it will be hosted by Greenlight Books in Jersey,
All right.
uh, New
Oh
York
wow.
too.
Well, that's big time, and that's Nicole Hannah Jones, right? That's the whole project.
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
yes,
Nice.
yes. So that'll be September 1st.
Well, thank you. I'm always in awe of people who are just always creating in different genres. They're not just Renaissance men, Renaissance women. So congrats on all of that. Thanks for
Thank
letting us get
you.
into the lab a little bit. And I've so much enjoyed talking about childhood because I'm so much in agreement with just the podcast in general about how much that informs all so much of our work and our future lives, obviously, right?
It
Yeah.
does.
And I just wish you great luck. And maybe when the second collection comes out, or the how do you pronounce that? Cannes, the French Film Festival,
Yes, yes, the
Cannes,
can. Yes, yes,
Cannes Film
yes.
Festival. When you
Can
win
Film
the
Festival.
when you win the jury prize or whatever for that, we can talk.
That will be awesome. Put that out there.
Right? Like I said, thank you so much, and continued great luck with everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it, and really enjoyed your take and the areas that you really like the most out of Southern Spice. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you. And enjoy Los Angeles when you come.
I will, and I'm always bad at this. Any contact info or social media info you'd like to
Oh,
share,
yes,
please?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. You can contact me on Instagram at Felicia E underscore writer,
Okay.
or on Twitter at Felicia Taylor E underscore.
Okay.
And I think you can, that's a good gamut right there. You can
Mm-hmm.
contact me, and I'll respond on IG.
Sounds good. And as always, I'll put the links to where to buy the book and the social media and contact info on when I put the episode notes. So there it is. You're easily reachable, right?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And enjoy. I'm trying to think of something to tell you to oh, you know what? If have you been to the Broad?
Ha- no, but I've heard great things.
Okay, if you have time,
Okay.
um, it's just cool and it's free. I'm so amazed that you
Yeah.
go to, different museums. Like I've performed at different museums and they cost, and then you go to the Broad, and Eli Broad wanted to make sure that it was free. So the only thing is you have to get online and make a reservation. That's what I wanted to tell you.
Okay.
So if you can check it out, and right across the street is LACMA.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
you know that LACMA's because you're from LA,
Yeah.
and they just made LACMA free. So
Oh, I
you
love
can
it.
you can jaunt right over and check out both of the exhibits that's going on. And if you're lucky, there may be something outside that's going on at the
Yes.
music center.
Oh wow, dang! I feel like I might get cultured and stuff. Nice, nice. And thank you for saving me the embarrassment. I probably would have called it broad. It's Broad, BROA day,
Broad, yes,
BROAD. Okay.
yes, yes. He used to be one of the funders for one of our arts programs. So
Yes.
yeah, so he was very fortunate to be able to do that.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you again so much
Thank
to
you.
Felicia Taylor. This has been episode 139. You can now subscribe to the podcast on Apple, leave a 5-star review. You can also ask for it by name using Alexa and find it on Stitcher, Spotify, and on Amazon Music. Follow me on Instagram where I'm at Chills at Will Podcast, or on Twitter where I'm at Chills at Will PO1. You can watch this, and I haven't actually asked Felicia, but I will. You can watch this and other episodes on YouTube or not. Watch and subscribe to the Chills at Will podcast channel. This is a passion project of mine, a DIY operation, and I'd love for your help in promoting what I'm convinced is a unique and spirited look at an often ignored art form. The intro song for the podcast is Wind Down, and the other song played on the episode is Hoops Instrumental by Matt Whitehour. Both songs are used through archesaudio.com. Please tune in for episode 140 with Oscar Hoquea, who is a regionalist Native American writer of literary fiction, interested in capturing intertribal, transnational, and multicultural aspects within two tribally specific communities, Tahlequah and Lawton, Oklahoma. In addition, he is author of the recently reviewed in the New York Times recent standout novel, Calling for a Blanket Dance. And that episode will air on August 30th. For now, thanks again for listening, and I hope that these quarantine days bring you texts by writers with mad skills like Felicia Taylor E, whose work, like Southern Spiced, A Brown Girl's Tale, gives you chills at will.